Hey everyone, since the World Championship match between Carlsen and Caruana will be happening this November, I thought it would be interesting to cover a few games between these two players. So today's game is from the 2011 Biel Chess Festival. So definitely one of their earlier encounters. In this game, Carlsen had white and Caruana had black. Carlsen opens with e4, we have e5 from Caruana, knight to f3, knight to c6, and here Carlsen goes for the scotch, d4. E takes d4, knight takes d4, bishop to c5, knight takes c6, b takes c6, and here bishop to d3 from Carlsen. Knight to c3 is also one of the main moves. We have queen to h4 from Caruana, so threatening mate on f2, Carlsen defends it with queen to e2. And here knight to e7, preparing to castle, and also, well, instead of knight to f6, knight to e7 may be a little bit more flexible because it allows the queen to drop back to f6. Here knight to c3, black castles, bishop to e6, challenging this bishop, so bishop drops back to b6. We have castles, and here d5, striking in the center. And there's an immediate threat of d4. So Carlsen plays e takes d5, and knight takes d5 from Caruana. Here c takes d5 seems like the most natural move in the position, but Caruana was probably afraid of bishop takes b6, and after a takes b6, white has queen to e5. So looking at c7 and d5, and also this knight looks a bit loose on e7, it is only defended by the queen. So after c6, here white can play g3, and queen to f6 is forced because black has to keep defense of the knight, and white can mess up black's pawn structure. Now this is still playable for black, but Caruana is always going to be a little bit worse in this position. So it's understandable that he didn't want to go for that variation, so Caruana opted for a knight takes d5. Carlsen drops the bishop back, bishop to d2, so preparing to meet knight takes c3 with bishop takes c3. Caruana plays bishop d4, trying to mess up white's pawn structure. Rook a to e1, and here if black were to capture on c3 after b takes c3, bishop c5, white gets a strong initiative with queen to f3. Looking at this pawn, but more importantly, preparing rook to e4. And this looks quite dangerous for black. Moves like queen to h5 and rook to h4 are coming. So knight to b4 from Caruana, trying to get rid of this nice light square bishop. Carlsen plays queen to e4, proposing a queen exchange. Black plays queen takes e4, bishop takes e4, and here bishop to a6, attacking this rook. So knight to e2 is forced, and here bishop to c5. Bishop was under fire, so it drops back. And these bishops on a6 and c5 are quite annoying for white, because this knight can't move. Also, this pawn is pinned. So here Carlsen plays a3, which kicks the knight back, and here b4. Caruana plays bishop to d6. He could play bishop to b6, but this looks a bit scary with ideas like a4 and a5. So bishop to d6 from Caruana, also it keeps options open for black because the bishop looks at both sides of the board. Carlsen plays knight to d4, so offering an exchange sacrifice. But white does get a very nice knight on c6. Caruana accepts, he plays bishop takes f1, king takes f1, and here there is no way to defend c6, so black simply gives up the pawn. Knight to b6, and here knight takes c6. Carlsen is down in an exchange in this position, but he has decent compensation because of his strong bishop on e4, and also this knight sits quite well on c6. It covers the squares, so the rooks are quite limited. They only can go to c8 and e8. And also black has a weak pawn on a7. White also has ideas of pushing his pawns on the queen side and if possible to try and create a passed pawn. Here rook after e8, we have a4, so trying to clamp down with a5, a6, so this pawn on a7 is always a weakness. And here this pawn on a4 is indirectly defended because if black plays knight takes a4, simply knight to e7 check would win material. So here king to f8, defending the e7 square, and also there are no more knight e7 checks. a5 from Carlsen. Caruana plays knight to c4, bishop to c1, bishop drops back. Here bishop to c3 is also possible, but Carlsen probably didn't want to block the advance of the c-pawn. So bishop to c1, a6, and here f4 from Carlsen, trying to take away this e5 square from the knight. But unfortunately that allows black to play knight to e3. And if rook takes e3, trying to defend his bishop, black has bishop takes f4 after rook to f3, bishop takes c1, and black is doing okay in this position. He has managed to trade some pieces. But Caruana didn't play that move. Maybe he didn't see it. Instead he played rook to e6 with the intention of doubling on the e file. But unfortunately that is a blunder and it loses to bishop to d5. So this knight is now in grave danger. And if rook takes e1, simply king takes e1, this knight is going to fall. You could give a check, but the king simply steps out of the way. Rook to f6 from Caruana, trying to bank on the fact that if bishop takes c4, black has bishop takes f4. So opening up a discovery on this knight. Also, if white plays bishop takes f4, here black has rook takes f4, and he is going to regain that bishop. But Carlsen didn't fall for this, and he plays rook to e4, keeping everything intact. And in this position, Fabiano Caruana resigned the game because the knight on c4 is simply gonna fall. So this is only part 1 of the prequel to the World Championship match. I will be covering a few more games between these two players in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please subscribe for more future content. Thank you for watching and have a great day.